from California are ordered to hand over record sums.
Mother's campaign to end drug overdose deaths.
Shoppers warned about healthy logos on packaging.
And advice for Sven from the winners of the '66 World Cup.
The ITV Evening News with Dermot Monahan and Katie Darrell.
Good evening, welcome to the programme.
Hello. One of Britain's richest and most notorious criminals has been ordered to hand over more than £35 million by a judge at the Old Bailey. John Palmer is serving 8 years for masterminding a massive timeshare fraud, and if he doesn't come up with the money, he'll face a further 11 years behind bars.
Today's demand is the largest confiscation order ever made by a British court. But Palmer, known as Goldfinger because of his alleged involvement in the Brinksmat bullion robbery, says he'll appeal against the decision. John Draper reports.
John Palmer was brought from his cell at Long Lartin Prison to the Old Bailey to be stripped of millions of pounds he made from crime. He's currently serving 8 years for fraud, with Palmer, seen here on the left at his original trial, has now had his money taken away as well as his liberty. The Crown had wanted him to wear handcuffs in court. Instead, he appeared in a business suit. He said nothing as the judge listed what he had to pay. 5 minutes later, he left the dock £35 million poorer. Never before in the history of the British criminal justice system has a convicted man been divested of so much money and in such a short time. In all, Palmer will have to pay £33 million confiscated by the court and to be paid to the Treasury, £2 million in compensation to the victims of the fraud, and £340,000 to cover the costs of his own prosecution. Palmer's fraud turned on the lucrative timeshare business in the Canary Islands. Hundreds of people lost their savings buying into flats that never existed. Edward Jenkins, a war hero, was one of them.
I would like to think that we, who paid him money, would get something back for our efforts. I mean, my idea is that I want my money back with interest.
After the hearing, Palmer's lawyers said they'd appeal.
Obviously, when someone is hit with a £33 million bill, I mean, if you receive a gas bill for £33 million, you know, it's a question of your morale as well. It's a question of whether he should pay or whether he shouldn't pay legally.
The Crown Prosecution Service said the judgment proved that new anti-crime laws were working.
The confiscation legislation is designed to deprive the defendant of his proceeds of crime. It also confirms our commitment to ensure that crime does not pay.
Palmer was dubbed Goldfinger in 1985 after his acquittal in the Brinksmat gold robbery trial. He says the police have been out to get him ever since. To Palmer, this was persecution, not prosecution. To the Crown, it was justice. John Draper, ITV News at the Old Bailey.
Well, John, we heard in your report that Palmer's going to appeal, but what are the grounds for that?
Well, this arises from a very dramatic development that happened last week in this hearing when the Crown Prosecution Service admitted that the original application to confiscate his money was based on the wrong Act of Parliament. So they put in a new application to confiscate his money. At that point, his lawyers stood up and they said, you can't do that. The whole application must fall. And that's the basis of the appeal. One thing they're stressing, though, is that this is an appeal against the £33 million being confiscated. Whatever happens, and in any event, they say they will pay the £2 million compensation to the victims of the fraud. The Crown Prosecution Service, of course, say they'll fight this tooth and nail, and so far they've won every round against Palmer.
But nevertheless, he's still gone back to prison tonight. A very rich man, hasn't he?
That's right. He was recently listed as the 105th richest man in Britain. That was before today, of course. He's a lot less rich now. And during the court hearing, it was said that his assets were worth about £47 million. So even after paying the £35 million, assuming that he doesn't win the appeal, he still goes back to Long Lartin jail tonight, a very rich prisoner worth about £12 million in all.
John Draper, live from the Old Bailey. Thank you.